Hello everyone, this is Rachel, the Modern Shaman, and I'm going to answer another Q&A question or topic that you guys sent me. Before I do, I will say again, if you'd like to access these videos later, just subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is just the Modern Shaman. And if you'd like to get in contact with me personally, you can visit my website, which is just themodernshaman.net. Okay, so the question today says, I am a psychic medium and intuitive, but I use tarot cards to help me read people. I know the cards are just a crutch, but how do I get comfortable just reading people? Okay, so this is a little more for those of you guys who are practicing what I'm doing, or you're sharing your information with others. Okay, I'm also going to make it a little broader too for those of you that aren't necessarily practicing intuitives, but those of you who are just human and have this human experience where spirit is speaking to you and you're making the choice of whether or not to share that with another person. And this happens every single day when we feel divine guidance and we have to make the decision of whether or not it's valid to share with someone, or how to share it with them in a more conducive way. So I will say this takes practice. If you are already using cards to give readings, you're probably familiar kind of just with the format of how to give a reading, but I'll tell you how I do it, just in case. So the first thing I do is typically ask someone if they've ever had an experience with a psychic before, they've ever done a reading before, because that can really determine what their expectations are, good or bad. And sometimes people have blocks when they've had bad experiences, or if they have a lot of fear connected to meeting with you. And surprisingly or not, many people have a fear with what you're going to tell them, and you can feel that right away. So I start with that. Sometimes I don't start with that if I already know that they're completely open, but if I can feel that there's anxiety, and because I feel things in my body, I'll feel it right away. My stomach gets really tight, or I can feel their energy in regards to just sitting with me. So I start with that and try to get that clear and get that open. And then I also take a conscious moment to connect with them. So the way I do it is I just ask if it's okay if I close my eyes. I say I'm gonna take a few deep breaths and just connect with your energy. And if you can, just take a few deep breaths, and as much as possible, hold an energy of receptivity. And I will connect with you and hold an energy of being, the channel. And then I close my eyes and I take a few deep breaths, and I feel them do the same thing until I can feel myself in sync with their vibration. I do that very consciously. Now, I know other mediums who do a little prayer right there, a prayer of intention. So they may ask their guides and angels to be present, and ask the guides and the angels of the person that they're reading for to be present and to help conduct that open communication, to help have a space of truth and divine wisdom in all that they say. So you can set that intention with a prayer, but I just suggest always setting a very purposed, conscious intention. In my experience, this helps me if I ever have a nervousness, because I get to take those deep breaths too. And sometimes I do feel nervous because I'm also feeling their energy, and it's in my physical body. So I need to slough that off so I can center in on myself and my own energy also, so I have something to give from. And also, it just sets your intentions clear with Spirit. Let me think. Okay, once I've done that, depending on what I'm doing for the person, if I'm acting as a medium, if I'm looking at the future, if I'm looking at past lives, if I'm looking at just whatever their guides want to show for their highest good, whatever, they may come to me with very specific questions, or they may come completely open and just say, tell me whatever you have to tell me. So it looks a little different depending on the person. But as you're tuning in and connecting, I like to have a little notepad there, and I just jot down things that I see or things that are coming up for me. Now, I always explain to them as well that the things that I see may be symbols. They may be very overt, like it may be exactly what's happening with them. Or they may have to sit with that information a little bit. I can tell sometimes when I get information that's from a very high vibration that they may not be in sync with it right now, with that frequency, and they may not be able to fully receive it yet. And yet I know that Spirit has asked me to say it, and so I say it in faithfulness that a year from now, 2 years from now, 10 years from now, at some point they will have a memory of that, and it will be used for whatever purpose Spirit had for it. And then I just try and say exactly what I receive. I try to get out of the way as much as possible and just be an open conduit for that information to come through. And I try and explain it as best as I am experiencing it. Because depending on what I'm seeing, say for instance, if I see a past life, a lot of times I will say, if they come to me, just using this as an example, with a very open slate, saying, tell me what you have to tell me. I'll ask Spirit for whatever is for their highest good in this moment, with whatever they're going through, with wherever they need to be, that come through. And quite often, a past life will come up. I'll see a life that is still kind of karmically being worked out in their current situation, or is a trigger, or is a relational, kind of has relational imprints to the relationships they're in right now, something like that. And if I see a past life, for instance, I will try and explain them, but I'll also try and explain the emotional makeup of that moment that I'm in. So how it feels to be in that body as I'm in their body, the things that I see around me, the people that I see around me, the relationships that I see, the era that I'm in, the geographical location on the globe, if I can kind of just feel into the geolocation of it, and then also the importance of why I feel like this is being connected, why this came up. And again, sometimes these things are symbols, and you never want to interpret for them, but you want to explain everything you're getting. And there's a difference there, and it's really important that you hone into that, because explaining what you're feeling and seeing is just being completely transparent. This is what I see, this is what I feel. I don't necessarily know what it means, but this is how it feels to me. It feels like there's a connection with this person to the person that you're currently dating. It feels like there is an issue with trust. I see, someone being killed. I see your son having died. You're holding him in your arms. There is an awareness that this is where your sense of loss comes from in your current interaction with your son. Things like this. I am explaining how it feels and how I see it, but I'm not saying to them, okay, now I think you should go home and this is what I think you should do with this information. Because I fully believe that they need to process it through their own internal guidance as to what is best for them to do with this knowledge. And I don't know what that is. They know what that is. That's inside of them. I'm holding true to what's coming through me, but the process of letting them interpret, in my opinion, should be completely left up to them. But the terms like, this may be something you have to sit with. I use that a lot if I feel like maybe they're not in alignment with the vibration of what I'm getting. And I say, this may be something for you 5 years from now, but because Spirit is giving it to me, I'm going to be completely honest and share it with you. And you can do whatever you feel is relevant with this information. Again, of reminding them that these things may be symbols, so feel into how they feel to you. If they don't feel like it's, if you don't resonate with the fact that I saw you holding a dead child or something, then from a past life, then maybe this is representative of something within yourself that you feel like is dead or you lost. It could be a symbol. So just giving them that option too. Like, be sure to feel into how you feel connected to the information that I'm sharing. This doesn't take away from the validity of it. I don't have that kind of view of what I do. I realize there's plenty of people that will say, you're not a psychic if you can't completely read my mind and completely tell me what happened, in my childhood and completely tell me this. I feel like I'm just tuning in to their vibration when I'm with them. I'm just syncing up. And the things that Spirit tells me need to come through, come through. The things that are not relevant don't come through. So there's not really a space in my mind for information to be valid or not valid. It's just all, it comes through, and then they process it the way that that their guidance sees fit for their highest good. And I just trust that. So, again, I know that was specific to those of you that may be practicing what I'm doing, but also, like I said, if you, are just feeling like Spirit is telling you something that you have a desire to share with someone, those techniques can also be useful. It's just good communication. Good communication and sharing your heart. So I hope that helps. Be blessed.